I am a urban architect and urban designer. I work with this issue quite often, and I realized that we don't really have one recipe for having a good space. The question I ask you is how the world of pedestrian looks like. This is a quite simple question, but answer could be very different. It's question of how we see the world around us when we are in urban space. However, I'm not going to answer that question now. I will speak about the city as a visual environment and the possibilities of acting in such an environment. And I will focus on following 4 issues of this workshop in order to explore various quality of city through personal experience. Those 4 issues are 1. City in motion. 2. Biodiversity in city. 3. Pedestrian problems. And 4. Body-based design. By saying city in motion, I do not mean cars or moving objects of architecture, or nor refer to the movement of the earth around the sun or the rotation of the earth. It is about the city seen in motion by pedestrian. So the impressions of moving is on the side of walking person. And this is a city which has apparent motion. So the motion is here seemingly, likely, apparently. And that's why city in motion can be both movable and still. A city as a visual environment we can see as in the whole world that exists, and the world that exists is the one that exists in visual perception. Man on this level of existence is just like any other animal. People live and move in the environment like other animals. In case of people, this is usually a city that is shaped by themselves, and this city as a visual environment is built by people. James Gibson's theory of ecological psychology, based on visuality in perceiving the environment, tell us something about about this. He said that all features of the environment are equated with animals' perception and lead to the fact that only the external features of the object exist. There's no others. So everything we see is everything we get in this world. According to James Gibson's ecological perception, visual environments is about the direct perception. So everything we see is directly for us to see, to feel. And visuality, although is more complex then the perception of individual features is in example colors, shapes, texture. It's easier for animal to notice. This is because all of these features are perceived simultaneously at once. And the consequence of such interaction between man and the environment is the behavior of man as an animal and the importance of the environment for him. This is very pragmatic approach to the outside world because we know that we are independent and we have our internal world too. And as a result, man perceive the possibilities and opportunities to the act, not the act itself. It's just about opportunities and possibilities. And therefore, the visual nature of the city is related to opportunities for action placed in space, in urban space, or any other space. About acting, however, a real city, I said about, I speak about the action placed in space, not action itself. So, however, a real city is less an object of perception and more a field of, as already mentioned, to see a city is to see the features, its features, characters. But to see this, to see city also involve us in sensing other kind of features. We can touch surfaces such like concrete, bricks, glasses, wood, pebbles, water, trees, leaves, and feel different smells, hear sounds of surrounding. We can feel the temperature of humidity or humidity. These features we notice bodily and immediately too, just like visual environment. And that this is the way we exist as living people. We sense the world with its own complexity. To see visual environment of the city, we don't just use only eyes. Sight is connected to another senses, the all senses. Just because there is no one who can extract his eyes from the whole body. There's no earth extract from the head, which could work, could hear. And therefore, seeing is a common and widely used concept that emphasizes the domination of sight over the rest of human senses. But it's not only about the visuality. However, it should not only considered as the only one. So the visual environment is usually understood as the environment where most information flows to us through seeing and in company of pieces of information received from other senses. And pedestrian perceive for some purpose. The main purpose is to act. because pedestrian is always doing something. All senses and sensomotorics are defined by the unity of the body. As Maurice Merleau-Ponty defined, and walking, looking, experiencing, filtering the city are situations of personal contact. We are involved in the reality with all of our body. According to Michel, the Certo anthropologist, walking causes a certain kind of self-management in space, um, which use tactics and strategy to move. On the other hand, life in city of each individual is also subject to the organization, so-called self-organization. You do many things by yourself and you self-organize the space during walking. And all designers and users use space in their activities. Design is focus, it's short time. Practice is dispersed, and it's all time running. and this is about the organizational activities on various scales and realities. Action in space is very interesting because the space expands the possibilities of perception and is a condition for all interactions. It follows that a person walking on foot experiences himself in space. It's about the all sensing the space and the sensomotorics. And pedestrians experience at the same time the dynamic system of space. It's also a kind of a matching point, which is body, and the dynamic system, which is urban space. And you must match those points together to realize that you are, for example, in center of your city, or you are on the somewhere, or you are on in your favorite coffee shop, for example. And to repeat again, interaction follows that person walking on foot experiences himself in space, and at the same time perceives space as a dynamic system. His contextualized experiences mean that this knowledge can be a source of analysis of urban structure, as well as the reference for design activities. The work of designers and the daily practice of users create a common city reality. There's no city without urban structures, which comes from designers, and there's no city without people which use or which practice the city. And practicing space by pedestrians and reality of their experience allow us to see a city as a process that continues over time. Okay, next, okay, thank you. I will now speak about walking. Thank you for switching. But walking is, again, a body practice. Walking is a simple activity. It brings people closer to one place or move them away from another. This simple act links time with space. It becomes a means of transport used by pedestrians all the time. The pedestrian moves in an upright posture and updates information from the environment at that height. Everyone has own point of observation. Me and, for example, someone, Usain Bolt, who is much taller, we observe world with from the other point, and we see things differently. Movement gives a trip continuity. That's also again about the process. By transporting himself or herself, the pedestrian gets used to the text to the extend the tempo, extend the space from moving from one point to other points. It's just not only point. It's not the how to say, point after point. It's just expanding the space because you are the one who have this continuity through walking. Okay, and here walking is the activity which leads to temporalization of space, and this also means that each space is known only through the time spent in it. So every space in time is experience. Walking involves feeling of your body. During walking, urban space unveils views, sequences, which touch the feeling of kinesthesia and senses and all other senses. And kinesthesia is a very special sense which allow us to coordinate our body with orientation in space. The area in which pedestrian walks is a world that experience and tangible to touch. It's similar to body movement, the multiplicity of the variability that influences the subjective perception in city structure. And walking activities is the experience that Frederick Gross calls energy. The three three kinds of energy that flow from the act of walking, energy of the body in motion, the energy of being attracted or learning against the ground, about ground, and energy coming out of the space, of the landscape space. Nullpunkt there is about the pedestrian perceptual awareness, to use terms from phenomenology of perception, written by Maurice Merleau-Ponty, my favorite philosophy of the perception, body perception. The pedestrian perceptual awareness expresses the situation and takes a position toward the world. Maurice Merleau-Ponty wrote that body is the measurement of all. It is a nullpunkt. It's nullpunkt. It's 0 point of all dimensions in the world. The 0 point suggests geometrical terminology which defines the center of any coordinate system. So you and your body, your living body, is this 0 point of everything that exists in the world. Reality is always related to one's own body and the moment of now. Reality is now, and is that you are here with me, or you are, for example, have a lunch, whatever is it. It's you doing things at this moment. So reality enables perception, action, speech, and reflections. So there is no other point to observe, experience, speak about the world than from your own body. And in reverse, I can say that body is the proof of any existence, of your existence and any existence around you. This is the body that learns, and the 0 point is that through which all intentional orientation towards the world begin to be understood. You understand the world through your body, through your practice, through things, through you feel and through all information you get from your senses. An infant learns to stand and walk. At first, it discovers the space of a house, then moves around in dark without any problems. Not only infant has memorized the layout of the house, space of the house in his head, but it also has the knowledge acquired from the bodily practice. This means that the space becomes familiar through embodied. Biodiversity this is very important to know that world around us is has different origins, has different in design. We say that there are layouts to use, to compose, and so far. Although the urban environment it's shaped according to our will, the human will, and natural conditions remain one of the most important urban planning factors or urban design factors. They include, among others, topography, minerals, water, resources, climatic conditions, the occurrence of the plant and animal species, and in practice, human activities reduce natural biodiversity by building up space very densely. Cities built and call because call with the term city because it's very dense. According to Lewis Mumford, the city cannot be considered only in the category of form, which is so important in design work, or primarily through its economics function. Economic function doesn't tell us about the quality of environment. It just tells us about number of new buildings, number of roads, and so on. And the relations with the natural environment and social values are paramount, the most important factor of the good city quality, and of what we say that what we always intend to achieve is to feel good in the urban space that cities itself very friendly for all species. We are one of those animals who live in the urban environment. A pedestrian moving in urban space, he is the same participant of the road as car driver. There's no difference. And the pedestrian also maneuvers using his own body, instead of cars. If we have collision here, this is about the vehicle body and living body stick together, not really wanted. And a pedestrian also maneuvers using his body and his multisensory profile is bodily equivalent of motor vehicles. He feels all the properties of the surface on himself. He sees building from different distances. He avoids obstacles and collisions, and he passes other people looks around in search of information, and so on. The way pedestrian moves provides a lot of information about the situation on his way. Maneuvering combines spatial orientation, bodily perception, and navigation. If pedestrian is forced to constantly maneuver along his road, his sidewalk, this may be a sign that space is not adapted to the pedestrian zone, or just because something here's something wrong in there. Body-based design is apart from the role of the body and senses from the pedestrian position presented earlier. We can find many places in man-built environment where we use our own body for design. One of many ways to do it. One of many ways is to measure. The drawing of Leonardo da Vinci and Le Corbusier show a man silhouette with dimensions inscribed. Both pictures illustrate human proportion based on a system of length, ratios, and of individual body parts to each other and to the whole body. And Vitruvian man found application in architecture orders. In Asia or America, there are similar systems too. Vitruvian man found application in architecture orders, which is undoubtedly proof of the anthropogenic nature of architecture. We build everything by measuring our body and unifying the many ratios, for example, many length ratios. Traditional methods of measuring have used the human body. These are, for example, lengths corresponding to the spacing of the head, outstretched arms, or measurement of the elbow, foot, toe, and their multiples. We can find the anthropogenic measure on all continents. In Anglo-Saxon countries today, measurement system have unit based on foot and step length, and among others. So anthropometric units of measurement show how the world we created is associated with our body. It's everywhere, even the door. We find it in the book. Door, house, city, or just clothes, or just there's not. I cannot find anything that is not connected to our body. Maybe you can. To summarize, pedestrian world is related entirely to our body, and pedestrian perceive to act. During acting, we realize that we can do things, what we can do with things and other people around us. It's very important. If there is something we cannot do, this is a situation that perceiving is not connecting to the action. So there could be some problems. To analyze and is too complicate. To synthesize is to simplify. We do it instantly during design work, but there's a point where everything starts. Everything starts. This is experience or somebody else experience.